What we're looking at is a future set in the past that's a lot like now. It's Bertolt Brecht, it's Kurt Weill, that kind of Weimar cabaret in a distant, dystopic world that's probably coming next week. The only optimism that I feel about what I'm seeing that looks very dark ahead is that the future's not yet written. 5 fruit bats silhouetted across a silver sky. 5 fruit bat, brave, honest, true. Fruit bat beer, 10 cents. In the hour between the gloaming and the murk, pour a cold fruit bat. Franz Klein paints 5 fruit bat black and white on the wall behind the bar at Club Bonga. But even Franz Klein and a cold fruit bat in a can couldn't beat back the heat wave down under, so intense that millions of fruit bats boiled and fell out of the trees. How's that for a visual? Can you spell dystopia? Nope, it's not utopia. You say tomato, I say tomato. Fuck you, fuck off, let's call the whole thing what? In a future that rhymes with the past is a place much like now, where all is weird. Indian summer was a bummer, 106 in the shade. We pined for the time when hot was 92. The future, what a scene. Let's party like it's 2019. Welcome to Bonga Bonga, where so many expats washed up after the big thud. And as any expat on the Côte de Bonga will tell you, watch for falling coconuts. Love Token Alley, 10 cents, Mr. Boots on the matchbook. I can help, ask me how. Honey trap workers on 8-inch hills get out of Zill limos as they speed by. A disenfranchised carnival barker. Heaven opens at 11. Are you feeling lucky? In the alley, the art crowd looks for Smarty's party. The party is elusive, and you need a lucky dime. The dime won't buy much in Love Token Alley, but for the lucky few, the giant holographic head of Mr. Boots appears. Club Bonga. Step through parted lips, you are in. Inside Club Bonga, the past and the future live at once. The glamour is palpable. And some would argue, Bonga Bonga is no longer a country, but a state of mind. On stage, a new review by the songwriting team of Bunny and Bester. 10,000 Nights on the Road. They're stuck in the future, can't get back to the 1930s, and if they did go back, they'd now be dead, so they're happy in paradise despite the present sour mood. It all started when Bonga Corp promised a better paradise. Vote yes. The reckoning came like a wrecking ball. And fingers are pointing and bullets are flying. In the street, the beat comes up from the feet. Feel the beat, feel the heat. Feel the rage. Blue meat, green meat, cat's meat, meat we should not eat, cries the cat's meat man. If I had a 5-pound note, says the cat's meat man, I'd marry you tomorrow, says the cat's meat man. She expresses her admiration of his admirable plan. She slips a 5-pound note to the cat's meat man. Yesterday meets tomorrow. Times have changed, says the cat's meat man. Prices has riz. And it'll cost you if you cross the Lake Deripaska. Oh, don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. Oh, don't shoot me, Mr. Oligarch. Remember how you loved me in Gorky Park. Remember how we ate pasta with Deripaska after dark. Oh, don't shoot me, Mr. Oligarch. I'm sorry I took those pictures on your yacht. So, ethos, pathos, logos, we're all reasonable here. Sure, why not? But the night they ate the horses, you couldn't get a table at the stable. Folks lined up out the door. Hounds a baying, ghosts a swaying, and something bad washed up on shore. All is still holy at the temple of love, tithing 10 cents. Says the prophet Lepton, fear not, the future is not yet written. Says Mr. Boots, hope we are lucky. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. Still we sing, let's party like it's 2019. Dreams, waking metaphors, random surreal objects in art, where the clues come from. A mosaic, a magic glass, a kaleidoscope, images reflect and refract. Marlowe was on the case until, like pure beauty, it led no whither. And then he heard, the future is dark, grim, lean. The future is mean. Let's party like it's 2019. In a mist of pixie dust, Marlowe made out the song and dance team of Bunny and Bester and artist impresario Artsman, AKA Smarty, AKA the man, the myth, the party. From Marlowe's journey, how to start. Why not mid-sentence? Who explains anymore? It dribbles, it travels, comes out as nonsense. I wait, I doubt mightily. What will we say when the bees are gone? What will we say when the sea is dead? Who will weep for the fruit bat? Brave, honest, true. What do we do when we ask for a message and hope for light and get pitch black? A happy face won't do. I dreamed I invented the hammerless nail. I called my son and told him he was the heir to the hammerless nail fortune. He was not reassured. He told me his dream back in Riverside, the old neighborhood near the Orange Grove and train tracks. His grandma and Johanna across the street, the other old ladies on the block. They've got all their old pills on display. They've cleared out their medicine closet. They sell their heart meds and their stomach meds. It's all laid out, organized by colors with baggie and a brown cash box. Each has a job like an assembly line. One sorts, one labels, one lady with a walker walks to get a pen. The one of them with a neck brace works the table. Knickknacks from another time. A jar of old chocolates, chalky, pure sugar. They must survive these desperate times. And then my son describes it like a painting. He goes, there were no colors in it, no life colors. Only the old ladies were alive with color. In another dream, my wife drives us off a cliff. All the way down I scream, what have you done? What have you done? What have you done? I wake before we hit the ground. I think, Geico, save 50%. I scribble, Janice, two-faced, looking back and looking forward. We are our own lost land. I dream I'm in an old biblical city, the old part of the old town where the streets narrow and turn and twist. Down one of these alleys I encounter two headless donkeys led by a wizened beggar. The beggar asks, should I kill myself? I marvel at these stick-thin beasts with necks like ostriches. Where do their thoughts go? Later, near dusk, in that nether light, bright as now at the low horizon, around a corner, and I'm met with pungent smells from the spice vendor. And there, the beggar again, and the wretched beasts. The beggar asks again, should I kill myself? And grabs my hand and pulls my ring. I push the beggar away with slight effort and go my way. Then I wake in the dark and instinctually touched my ring and knew something was wrong. A rough edge, the gold around the bevel cracked, leaving the gem exposed. I think, thank you, beggar, you did me a service. I did not understand, nor was I grateful, nor was I humble. I showed no compassion, only disdain. This is how we are tested. In waking life, there's the art show at the wharf, a trancing, dirty kid with long, stringy hair, rucksack and guitar wanders in muttering about Banksy, incoherent, hi baby, and right to cheer Banksy. But the kid is marring the vibe. I think, if he has some cake, fine, glass of wine, cool, but best he drift away, and which he did to my relief. Only later that night did I ask myself, that vagabond kid was an angel. How big our circle of compassion? Where does dream metaphor and waking metaphor overlap? Everyone is having fun. And this kid wants to be part of it. Shows a brave face, but is filthy ragged. The more in tune would sense this and reach out in some meaningful way. Was I being tested? Was my art being tested? How easy to scrub from the moment the unpleasing detail. How do we see the angel? I tried to paint the headless donkeys, and what I ended up painting were headless scapegoats. The scapegoat and the angel live among us. We need only open our eyes. My friend worked as a first responder for the fire department. He told me a story about a deranged teenager who shot her grandmother point blank 9 times before spraying the room. When my friend arrived, he saw a 5-year-old girl rocking back and forth. A bullet had pierced her cheek on one side and gone out the other cheek. He carries that image. The fireman, the policeman, the soldier, the teacher, the doctor, the nurse, all stressed. So much PTSD. These people, at once angel and scapegoat, we must give thanks. So here I'm going to pause for a second and then tell you a little story. So then there's the angel and the asshole. How do we tell the difference? And so I produce a television show over at AMP, which is close by here, and we shoot 3 shows back to back. So I'd done shooting mine, and there was a guest that came early, and she'd be on the next segment, and she wanted some coffee, and so I wanted to walk over here and make sure the projector was going, and she was a poet and a painter, and I wanted her to see my work, and so I didn't really say anything, and I brought her in here, and she comes in the front door, and she looks in, and she goes, "Oh my God, this is just awful. I can't stand this. This is ghastly. Who did this?" And so I have to say, well, you know. And so it was. So I mean, what do you do with that? And then so you know, I kind of wanted to say, well, who are you? And then it turns out she was someone who had actually done a lot of hands-on work helping the poor, doing some things. She was actually a pretty interesting woman, and so I couldn't go there. And you know, and it was very interesting walking with her because she engaged with everybody on the wharf. So you know, the homeless guy and the dog, and I'm following how she saw things, and she was looking at everything where I walk straight ahead. I can be ignoring it, and so I was really pretty impressed looking through her eyes, and then giving that, then I have to kind of look at my own stuff through her eyes, and which is quite jarring. That I think, well, how was it for Stravinsky? But then I think, well, I'm not Stravinsky, so that's not going to work. But there's some, you know, so what I did look at, I go, you know, it's time to take this whole art thing to another level. And I looked at it and I go, I really want to do something new, and I want it to be like 3-dimensional. And I'm not looking for a variation on a theme. I'm really looking for metamorphosis. So I was kind of trying to do this. And then as I'm thinking how instant karma this was, because I'd gone to the frame shop just the week before, and there's a guy there painted a little like I do, except that he was a much better painter actually. But I'm looking at the messages and I'm going, whoa, it's all pastiche, you know. He's like got these kind of Jean-Michel Basquiat images, and it's not his language. It was just stuff that he'd stolen. I'm telling the guy in the frame shop, oh, this stuff's awful. So I'm just being this woman. So, you know, it's like I'm the same person who did this, and I'm thinking this is real instant karma. I go, you know, what kind of dick does this? You know, walks in somewhere and I'm going, this could be like his brother-in-law. You know, what do I know? And but on the other hand, you know, so I got the instant karma on that one. And so next time, so the frame didn't come back for 3 months. And then when I apologized to the framer, he goes, oh, I didn't pay any attention. Well, people pay attention. And I guess the moral of the story for the woman is don't ever mess with a writer because they always have the last word. Calm, quiet, still. Let this wash over you. Relax, submerge, submit. Breathe in, breathe out. Being and nothing come from each other, yin yang. The future is not yet written. The artist must not turn away. Imagination is a survival tool. The only thing to be is the real thing. Start in a place of beauty. Sugawara no Mishizini, number 161, and he was a Japanese poet. Your married sisters have stayed at home, so we 3 exiles go alone together. On the road we sing. At midday you eat before me. At night, in a field or a shed, we face darkness with lamps and tapers. Struck by cold, we have our warm blankets. Under the stars, I tell you what I saw in the Capitol. Wretched orphans wandering the street. Then I encountered the naked gambler, Namasuki, and the barefoot musician known as the Justice's Miss. Both of high birth. Once gold ran through their fingers like sand. Now they haven't enough to eat. Children, let us huddle close in the darkening hour and compare our lot with theirs. Whatever we lack, heaven's treatment must seem kind. Vittorio De Sica, when asked what it takes to be a great director, did not talk about casting or camera angles. He said, what it takes to be a great director is strength. You have to be strong. Forte. It takes strength just to look in the mirror. Out there is rage, and in you is sin. How weighty your sin, how much your toll, we might never know. We hide the fissures, paper over the cracks. Necessary our delusion, helpful our facade. How to deal with the loathing, pettiness, and fragility. How to deal with the profound unease, dark foreboding. How honest dare we be? Dare we speak the unspeakable or show the unshowable? And is there anything salvageable to sell? Are there any rules? Is there any decorum? What is taboo? Know only this: great art stands out. What any artist sees in the glass is failure, frustration, inadequacy, not enough time, not enough energy, not enough this, not enough that. Art always falls short. Art is a magic trick. To perform the magic trick, the artist must be strong. Revere beauty. See beauty as a higher calling. Marlowe was thankful for the beauty he'd seen. Art was the joy of his life. In his studio, a self-portrait, an old, bent, and gnarled tree hung with grapes, somewhere between wanting to be liked and not giving a fuck. Joseph Conrad characters didn't give a fuck and didn't count the costs. Many traveled to the back of beyond simply for the wonder. Magnificent seekers obsessed by dreams of unseen lands, of strange customs, of untamed nature. Many disappeared without a trace. Unsung poets of the dark heart, driven mad by anthropomorphic hallucination. Our Marlowe peered over the edge. He'd gone to the far corner. He'd roamed off the map, had nightmares of knowing where the body was buried. Secret knowledge, a watcher with an eye for a certain scary beauty. And going through life with popcorn, taking in the show, the eyewitness who didn't want to get muck on himself and liked to slip out before the cops came. A romantic sucker who knew life was hard and rough and could be ugly, and that art can't always be pleasing. Still, all is sacred, all is holy. In painting, Marlowe saw wonder, never knew what would happen next. Self-portrait number 2. And there he was, glamorous, stepping off the plane, heading to the exit. Camera dolly his way, good to be him. And then the camera passed. It wasn't on him, but on the young couple behind him. Anyone not so deluded as Marlowe would have seen they were the stars of the show. When the director yelled cut, a PA took his phone and erased all the shots he had taken against the rules of the production. He was hustled off the set. The long goodbye to Bonga Bonga was long out of print, but Marlowe's legend endured. Marlowe stayed out of the paper, had no friends online, no GoFundMe page. Still, he was the go-to guy in Love Token Alley, the indispensable man. Need a trombone player? Asked Marlowe. Need 76 trombones? Marlowe was on the set when they unpacked the musty band uniforms in the abandoned studio where Bob and Bing bailed after real cannibals commandeered the cooking pots. Marlowe was on set for the last scene in Tap Dance. Sam Bunny and Lester Bester, palm fronds over their faces, their coconuts dangling. 76 trombones at the big parade, with 110 cornets close at hand, followed by rows and rows of the finest virtuosos, Bunny and Bester leading the band. That was last year.